Today on the show, we have Kevin G. Chapman. Kevin is an attorney specializing in labor and employment law and an independent author. In 2021, Kevin finished the first 5 books in the Mike Stoneman thriller series. Righteous Assassin, Mike Stoneman thriller number 1, was named one of the top 20 mystery thrillers of 2019. By the Kindle Book Review, Mike Stoneman thriller number 2 was also named a top 20 mystery thriller of 2020 by the Kindle Book Review and made the shortlist for the 2020 Clue Award. Book number 3, Lethal Voyage, was the winner of the 2021 Kindle Book Award. Number 4 in the series, Fatal Infraction, was named Best Police Procedural of the Year by the Chanticleer Book Review, and book number 5, Perilous Gambit, was published November 24th, 2021. Kevin has also written a series of political drama, A Legacy of One, originally published in 2016, which was shortlisted for the Chanticleer Somerset Award for Literary Fiction. A Legacy of One was republished in a newly edited and revised second edition in 2021. Kevin recently completed a standalone mystery thriller titled Dead Winter, published in late 2022, winner of the 2023 Clue Award, Best Suspense Thriller. And he is working on a standalone mystery titled The Other Murder. Kevin is a resident of Central New Jersey and a graduate of Columbia College and Boston University School of Law. Readers can contact Kevin via his website at kevingchapman.com. Conversations with Indie Authors. Well, I'm wondering, because you are an attorney, how much of your attorneyness has gone into your books?
Well, it has been a little bit. I mean, I first got into writing about crime because my lawyers association did a short story competition, and it had to be about law or crime. And I didn't really want to write about law, so I wrote about crime, and I won the competition. And that was the first short story in the Mike Stoneman thriller series called "Fool Me Twice," and that's how I got into writing crime, basically because I didn't want to write about law. But I do work a little bit of the legal issues in from time to time when they make sense. But I really don't want to. This is what I do when I'm not working, so I don't want to. I don't want to write about what I work about.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I used to think it was really fun. Instead of watching TV, I would go to the courthouse and just go in and just watch them do court. I'm like, this is far more interesting than watching TV, you guys. Like, this is where the entertainment is. It's human nature. It's what humans are doing on, what they think like. It's interesting.
It's a fun thing to do if you're ever out of the country and you find yourself in some place where you've got some time and you just walk into a courthouse and watch, especially if you speak the language, like in Bermuda, for example, or in the UK or in Australia. Yeah, walk into a courthouse and just walk into a courtroom and watch what's going on. It can be very interesting.
You've done that?
A couple of times, and yeah, it's fun.
Is it different?
I'm a law nerd.
Yes. Is it different than in the United States, or how much different is it? Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's hugely different. Very, very, very different. In the U.S., courtrooms are very much more combative. They're more adversarial. In the UK, especially, they're very civilized and quiet. At least the ones that I've seen.
Right. Maybe there's someone out of hand, but we don't know yet.
Yeah, and the barristers are still wearing, powdered wigs and robes, and it's much more of a formal, I don't want to say stuffy, but it's a more dignified environment than a U.S. courtroom.
That's funny. How interesting. How interesting. So you enjoy practicing law, but you also do you love writing more? Which one do you?
Boy, that's a tough question. I've been practicing law now for 37 years, and I've enjoyed all of it. I'm going to be retiring from that probably 3 or 4 years from now. and my goal is to become a full-time writer at that point. So I love the writing. I find it a huge distraction and a wonderful distraction from the day-to-day work. So I would say right now I enjoy it more, but it's not my full-time job. Maybe when it's my full-time job, I won't like it as much. But it's more fun because you get to be more creative. And that's at this point in my life, that's what I'm more interested in spending my time doing.
So, can you take us back to the beginning for those that don't know you, aren't familiar? Can you give us a rundown? Who is Mike Stoneman, and how did this start?
Well, as I said, the Mike Stoneman started with a short story,
Mhm.
and it was a character. He was a character that I created in order to write this short story, which was a little bit difficult because I wrote the story and then I found out afterwards that the competition was going to be limited to 5,000 words. I had already written 8,000 words, so that was a real structure in editing, trying to figure out how to get it down. But I really liked the character. I was at the time in the middle of writing the Great American Novel, which I finished in 2016. It's called A Legacy of One, and it is a very serious book about politics and morality and self-determination. And I did that because I felt like I needed to get that out of my system. But then I decided I wanted to go write something that people would want to actually buy and read. And so I went back to that short story that I had written about the homicide detective. And I said, let's see if I can take that character and work him up into a whole novel. And that became the first novel in the Mike Stoneman series, which is, oops, that way, Righteous Assassin. And that was the first full crime novel. And I loved it. I loved doing it. It got good reviews, and I said, well, let's do another one. Let's take Mike and his partner Jason and put them into another story. And that just kept going. And I was doing about one a year for about 5 years, and really loving the characters and loving the reactions that I was getting to the characters, and that was just so much fun and so creative. And my wife and I get to work on it a little bit together because she's very much into the B plots, the sort of the romance plots and the human interaction subplots that go into the stories. She's not so much into the murder and death and the criminal investigation, but she's very much into the characters. And so we have a chance to talk about those as we're walking around the block every day during COVID. So that was great, and so really enjoyed it. And then I took a break from that, partly because of the pandemic, and I did not want to write books about cops interviewing subjects wearing masks and dealing with the whole pandemic protocol. Just didn't want to talk about it. And partly because I was working very hard on trying to get a literary agent. And the literary agents all told me, we're not going to be interested because we're not going to be able to sell a series to a traditional publisher if you've already started self-publishing the series. They want it from the ground up or not at all. So I said, okay, well, I'll write a story that's a complete standalone story that's got no connection to my previous series. And so I wrote Dead Winter, and I tried to sell that to literary agents, and they said, "Yeah, we really like it, but we'll pass." I got a lot of pass, a lot of pass. I think partly it's because I'm a little older, and so it's harder for the major publishers to look at me and see 30 years of revenue stream going forward. I can understand that. And then I wrote The Other Murder, which is another complete standalone story with no connection to the series. Still haven't been able to find myself a literary agent, and so screw it. I'm going back to the series now, and I'm working on number 6 in the Mike Stoneman series, and I'm pretty much at this point resigned that I'll be self-publishing for the rest of my literary career.
I like self-publishing, I think. Obviously, I'm a little bit of a fan. You also you started your own publishing company as well.
Well, I did because at some point you got to consider it a business. And it is my retirement plan to some extent. And if it's a business, it has to have an incorporation. I mean, I'm a lawyer, so it's easy enough to set up an LLC and say, okay, I'm going to open up a bank account and I'm going to funnel all the expenses of the publishing business through the bank account and the revenue through the bank account. And I am really, really close to breaking even. I'm not quite at the point where the publishing company is a profitable enterprise, but it's close. So I'm hoping 2024 will be the year that I make a profit on the company.
That's amazing. How long, when did you start the LLC?
2022. So
Okay.
it's got 2 years under its belt,
Yeah.
and now this will be the third full year of having the publishing company. And listen, the difference between self-publishing without it and self-publishing with it is cosmetic. I mean, I've got return address labels that say First Legacy Publishing, and when I send out letters, I've got letterhead for it. But it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference in the day-to-day process of writing or publishing. But it's just a way for tax reasons and for accounting purposes to really keep track of how much am I spending, how much am I making, and how much money am I losing on this on this little hobby of mine.
I think that, well, I think what you said was important is that this will be the first year that hopefully you'll be making a profit. And,
I'm
and
hoping.
I think I don't know how many people realize that starting your own, business at home, it can take a while. It can take a while before you get there.
Well, all of the books and articles that I've read over the years about self-publishing say the same thing, which is you don't expect to make money off your first book or your second book or your third book. The best way to be successful is to keep writing more books, and the more you have, the more they cross-pollinate each other, the more you develop a reader base, a fan base. And my hope is that by the time I get to about 10, I'll have a sort of critical mass of a back catalog that will be selling at least enough to kind of keep the business afloat. And then as I write more books, that's the profit margin. So I'm getting close, but there's no question that the first book, it's impossible. It's very hard to sell a first book. But I've got a book signing coming up next Saturday, and I've got the whole slate of my books out there in the bookstore now, and it looks nice, you know. People will say it's not just one book, it's a whole bunch of books from this author, and it's a lot easier to sell that.
I actually keep hearing that in the indie, publishing realm, is that it is easier. You need to that's the suggestion, is make a series, do a series. That's what everyone wants right now. So I've met authors that are doing this full time, like that they've made this their business, and they have several different series and like shoot offs from the first series, and now this character got popular, and so yeah.
That's the way to go for sure. I mean, I will tell you that my fan base has been clamoring to the extent that I have a fan base, and I've got a few thousand people on my mailing list, and they've been clamoring for me for the last 2 years. And when's the next Mike Stoneman book coming out? And I say, well, I got a new one. I got a new one right now. And they say, that's great. We'll be interested in that. But when's the next Mike Stoneman book coming out? Once you've got fans who are interested in the characters, uh, they want it. They want more. They want to find out what's going to happen. And it's been 3 years since my readers last met Mike and Jason and their love interests. And so, what's been going on in the last 3 years? And well, a lot's been going on in the last 3 years, and they want to know. So yeah, that's definitely a great way to do it, and it builds momentum. And when somebody picks up one book, it's not just one book for them to buy.
Mhm.
There's right now there's 5 books in that series that they can buy, and guess what? 5 books costs more than one book. Um, it also means I can give away the first book, or or sell it cheap, and help people get into the series. And if they enjoy it, well, then they can buy the next 4.
So what have you found with your marketing efforts? What have you found to be the most successful?
Well, I tried for a long time on my own to figure out how to get things out there. I decided at one point that I was going to turn it over to a professional So I hired a professional marketing company to do ads for me. And we've been experimenting over the last 2 years with Facebook ads and Amazon ads and BookBub ads, and we do the discount promos on the various websites that run for the 99-cent books or the 199 books. And we've been doing all of it. It was very successful for a while. It kind of fell off at the last half of last year, and I don't know exactly what the reason was. I know that Facebook changed, or Meta changed some of the ways that it serves ads and made it, I think, harder for my marketing people to target the ads the way they had been previously. But that's where the most of the revenue's been coming from, are those ads in their various forms. And it's been steady. It's been not wildly successful, but you can see that there's always new readers, and I'm always getting new people subscribing to my newsletter, and it's a marathon, right? You got to take little
Mhm.
steps and 1 mile at a time, and hopefully you'll reach the finish line eventually. So that's been pretty standard, I think. I mean, it's not like we're doing anything bizarre. We're not putting up uh, hanging banners behind airplanes at football games. There's all kinds of ways you can advertise. But it's been pretty much those things. They work. Advertising works. I mean, you can look at my revenue stream and you can see upward lines from the time that I started doing those advertising,
Mhm.
it's hard. It's so complicated to figure out how to get the right keywords and the right targets and the right mix of advertising. So I've left it to the professionals, and I'm so happy that I have, because it's just a lot of time and anxiety, and I don't have the expertise. So I'm wasting a lot of my time and anxiety doing it. Now I just let other people do it and pay them for it, and that kind of works out well.
I think that's definitely true. I know that I used to try to do everything myself because I thought everything had to be original. And a lot of times, it's just easier to go, oh no, somebody else is way better at this. I'll just pay you.
Should I give a plug to my advertising company?
Yes.
It's called Aurora Marketing, and they've done a good job. I've been pretty happy with the support that I've gotten from them, and there's a relatively small operation. I'm kind of surprised there's not more companies in this space, because there's so many independent authors, and we
Hmm.
all need so much help. I mean, you have the companies that run the ads, like the discount places, BookBub and Fussy Librarian, and all of those other kinds of places that run promos. But you don't see a lot of people out there in the space of, you pay me and I will run your ad campaign for you. I had a hard time finding one. So if anybody is an entrepreneur and wants to get into that marketplace, I think there's a lot of demand among independent authors for that sort of service.
I think so too. I agree. Well, I think that's the biggest thing that independent authors really need, is because when we're writing, we're usually, in our cave writing, doing our thing, and then we come back out and we're hi, and everybody's like, "Who are you?" It's like, "Oh yeah." So, I think marketing is the biggest part, that's why people will pay even independent publishing companies that, to help them out with that.
Well, but you hear so many, I don't want to say horror stories, but negative stories about small publishers who didn't really do all that much in terms of handling the marketing. And
Hmm.
I'm very wary of that. I really don't want to get involved with a publishing company that's going to take a piece of the revenue, but isn't really going to make the books sell. That's what publishers are supposed to do. They're supposed to figure out how to make the book sell, get them into stores and get them advertised, and make them sell, because that's how you make money as a publisher, is to sell more books. Unfortunately, it seems like there's a lot of companies out there who are just going to print for you. We'll handle the printing, and then it's up to
Hmm.
you to do the marketing, which I can print myself. I mean, I really don't need a publisher to print. I got my own publishing company now, and I can put the logo of First Legacy Publishing on my book, and it looks like I've got a publisher. Well, I've got me is what I've got.
Yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, a lot of people, well, and people don't know. I think that's, what would be good is a publisher joining hands with an indie author marketing company.
There you go.
That's
There,
really
there,
neat.
there, there there really is a pent up need for that, because we don't know. I spent so much time reading about how to run Amazon ads and how to make them successful from
Mm,
people who write books about how to do it, and
right.
they run seminars, and you can pay hundreds of dollars to take a 5-day long course on how to make Amazon ads. But if you don't do it every day, it's hard. I mean, like anything else, there's an expertise level that you can only generate when you do it all the time, over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And even things like A/B testing, right? You run two different ads that are slightly different, and then you watch to see which one performs slightly better in order to get information about what is working and what is not working. Well, that's great if you have all day long to do nothing but work on your advertising. But I've got a day job and I'm trying to write the next book. So all of that marketing is just a drain on the things that I enjoy a lot more.
Yeah, I think it goes back to that. It's good to know, who's better and pay them.
Not me, that's for sure.
Well, when are you doing your next author signing?
A week from Saturday,
Okay.
I've got the books into my local Barnes and Noble. So for you independent authors who think you can't get into Barnes and Noble, the answer is you can't get into all the Barnes and Noble. But my local Barnes and Noble is just like any other bookstore. I mean, they happen to be part of a chain, but the people who work there are still people, and you can talk to them. And so we've set up a whole author event, and we're doing a presentation, and going to be refreshments and door prizes, and so I'm going to be signing the new book, which is now only out in hardcover. This is the first time I'm doing that, so this is a new thing for me. Is I'm not publishing the ebook or the paperback right away. It's only available in hardcover for at least a couple of months. And so I'm
Okay.
going to try to push the hardcovers and autograph the hardcovers, and they look great. The hardcover looks fabulous. It's got a dust jacket. It's got my picture inside the dust jacket. So it really is nice. So I'm autograph as many of these as I can get away with. And then in March, the ebook and the paperback will become available on Amazon and through other places. So right now you can only get the book in a hard copy, and you can only get it in a bookstore.
Okay. That's actually kind of cool. Make it's exclusive. That's kind of, and the hardcover is really nice, actually.
Well, that's the way the big publishers do it, right? You release the hardcover, and then you can only get the hardcover. And if you want to wait, you can wait for the paperback, but you got to wait. And so people don't want to wait; they want to buy it now. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to do it for this book. I'm going to probably do it for the next book, the number 6 in the Mike Stoneman series, and see how that goes, and then evaluate whether it was worth the effort, or not. I'm kind of not sure yet. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious to, to find out. So let me know what happens. I'm really curious about that. Where can people follow you online if they connected with you today?
My website's very easy. It's kevingchapman.com. So there's another author out there in the world named Kevin Chapman. So I have to make sure I get the G in there. kevingchapman.com is my website. Everything that you need is on there. And the books are available in audiobook. All the other books are available in ebook and paperback and hardcover and audiobook. The Other Murder is currently only available in hard copy and audiobook. So we'll see how that goes.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing this with us and your knowledge. That's that's helpful. Honestly, in the publishing world, and especially self-published authors, they need so much help and direction. What do I do next? Because yeah, you can just put something in Word and throw it up there, but there's a little bit more that goes along with it.
Well, I'll tell you, I have had a lot of good mentoring from a few other authors who are more advanced than I am in this self-publishing journey. And it's been invaluable to get that kind of advice and encouragement from them. And it's wonderful. Dan Alatorre's been great to me. Anna Willett has been wonderful to me. And I'm trying to do that now with some younger authors who come to me and ask me questions. And I'm just like, yeah, fine. Give me a call. We'll spend an hour just talking about what to do, what not to do, where to go for resources, where to find information or things that you can use to help you. Because if I don't help them, who's gonna? I mean, they got to come up after me and help the people behind them. It's a community, really, the whole self-publishing independent author community, and I really want to make sure that I do my part.
I love that. And I love it is a community. That's what I was saying. Somebody was saying, well, it seems like there'd be a lot of competition. Wouldn't you guys fight each other? And I'm like, no, we're so individual that everybody, it's really about support. How can I help you? And how can, let's bring up the next generation and help them. So yeah, it's very much community minded.
Absolutely, you can only help, and helping other people makes you feel good.
It does. It does.
I really do appreciate you having me on. It's a great thing that you do. It's really helpful for all of us to get our faces and our names and our books out there in the world. So it's great. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
The Zarlequan Indieverse.